Everybody. I'm really glad to have you here today. I hope you are as excited as I am to get back into the book we were reading. If you guys remember, Jack and Annie had ran into the water knight right there, and he dropped them off at, that's right, the cave of the Spider Queen. So that is where we left off. Chapter 3, Cave of the Spider Queen. Gentle waves rippled through the cove as Jack and Annie swam to the foot of the cliff. They pulled themselves onto the boulders. Soaking wet, they sat for a moment in the warm sunlight and caught their breath. That was so cool, said Annie. Yeah, but why? Jack gasped. Why did he dump us way out here? What do we know now? Check the rhyme, said Annie. What happens after we call for the help of the water knight? Do you guys remember what happens? Well, let's read on and find out. Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out the seashell. He read aloud, Call for the help of the water knight, then pass through the cave of the Spider Queen. Oh, right, said Annie. She took a deep breath. Spider Queen. Sorry, Jack said softly. But don't worry, maybe the Spider Queen is just a person. Maybe Spider Queen is her nickname. But what if she's half a person and half a spider, said Annie. Like the Raven King was half a man and half a raven? A mystical beast. Jack shuddered at the memory of the monster on their last Merlin mission. Don't think about that, he said. Time's running out. Let's just find this cave. Annie nodded and smiled bravely. Hey, you're right, she said. They stood up and started climbing barefoot around the craggy curves at the base of the cliff. As they rounded a corner, they both gasped. In front of them was the mouth of the cave. The mouth was covered with thick, sticky white ropes. The ropes were woven tightly together in a crisscross, cobwebbed pattern. If that's a spider web, we're in big trouble, said Annie. Jack tried to sound calm. The size of the web doesn't actually tell us the size of the spider, he said. Plus, I once read that no spider on Earth is bigger than a dinner plate. Let's hope that's true. Yeah, and no horse on Earth has a giant fishtail either, said Annie. Good point, thought Jack. Let's just concentrate on finding the sword of the light before nightfall, he said. Jack picked up a stone the size of a softball. He hurled it toward the mouth of the cave. The stone sailed through the giant cobweb and into the cave, pulling the sticky rope-like strands down with it. Jack turned to Annie. Ready? He said. She didn't move. Here is a picture of the cobweb covering the cave and the rock that they threw into it. I don't know about you, but that would make me run the other way. Well, Jack took her hand. Don't worry. I won't let any monster spiders get you, he said. He nodded toward the mouth of the cave. Onward? Onward, Annie repeated in a small voice. Then together she and Jack stepped over the fallen web and entered the cave of the Spider Queen. Inside the cave, the walls were black and shiny. The ground was wet and slippery under their bare feet. Yikes, Annie said, jumping back. A pale pink crab scuttered sideways across the rocky floor. Don't be afraid, said Jack. That's not a spider. I know, said Annie. Sorry. As they went deeper and deeper into the cave, it grew darker and darker. Finally, Jack saw a faint light coming from a wide, arched passage. That way, he said. They stepped through the arch into a round chamber with a high ceiling. There were several large cracks in the ceiling that let in beams of sunlight. The misty light shined on mossy green ledges and on a green, spongy-looking floor. Silver droplets dripped from above, kerplunking into tiny pools. Squeaks and chirps came from crannies and hiding places in the walls. What's that noise? Asked Annie. Probably just teeny cave crickets or baby bats, said Jack. No, that noise, said Annie. The whispering noise. Jack listened. Then he heard it, a low whispering. He couldn't make out the words. It just sounded like whisper, 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 whisper. The hair stood up on the back of his neck. Now he began to feel scared. "This place is really creepy," said Annie. "No kidding," said Jack, "but we don't have to stay here long. The rhyme says we just have to pass through the cave. So let's hurry and pass through it." Jack and Annie walked through the ghostly green light of the chamber. The spongy floor squished beneath their bare feet as they searched for an exit from the cave. They both kept an eye out for the Spider Queen. "Hey, look, a starfish," said Annie. She pointed to a bright orange starfish clinging to the rocky ceiling. "How'd it get up there?" Before Jack could answer, a wave crashed into the chamber. Water splashed over Jack and Annie. "Yikes," said Annie. She and Jack jumped onto a mossy ledge jutting out from the wall. The wave washed back out. There was a moment of quiet. Then another wave surged into the chamber. It splashed against the cave walls, soaking Jack and Annie again. "Oh man," said Jack. "The tide must be coming in. Soon this whole cave will be flooded." That sounds scary. This is where they jumped up onto, and those were the waves coming into the cave. I would not want to be trapped in a cave that's filling up with water, that's for sure. Waves receded. For a moment, all was quiet again. "We better leave now," said Jack, "and quick. Go back the way we came in." Jack and Annie jumped down from the ledge, but before they could escape, another wave crashed into that cave. The one swept them off their feet and pulled them down into the foamy water. Jack grabbed Annie's hand, fighting the swirling currents. They climbed back up onto the mossy ledge. The water churned and gurgled around the chamber. "We can't go back the way we came in," said Jack. "The waves will just keep knocking us down and we'll get caught in the current." What would you guys do? Would you guys go back the way you came, or would you move forward? I would move forward because I feel like they're closer to the end than when they came in. But I probably wouldn't be able to make a decision unless I was really there. "Maybe we can get out through the crack," cried Annie. She pointed to the widest crack in the cave ceiling. It was high above the swirling water. "It's too high," said Jack. "We can't get up there." He looked frantically around the flooded cave, searching for another way out. Suddenly, he froze in horror. Clinging to a ledge near the ceiling crack was the Spider Queen. She had 8 red glowing eyes. She had 8 long, hairy legs, and she was much, much bigger than a dinner plate. The Spider Queen was bigger than Jack. Chapter 4, Web Walk. Jack grabbed Annie's hand. "Whatever you do, don't look up," he said. And what do you think Annie did? She looked up. "Ah!" she screamed. She started to leap off the ledge into the turning waters. But then another wave crashed wildly against the walls. Jack held Annie back. "Don't jump," he shouted. "You'll drown." Above the sound of the rushing waters, a loud whisper echoed around the cave. "Stay, stay, stay." The Spider Queen was starting to stare down at them with her 8 red eyes. As Jack and Annie stared back in horror, the giant spider shot a web strand as thick as rope straight toward them. Jack and Annie ducked. The strand stuck to the wall. "What's she doing?" cried Annie. "I don't know," said Jack. He and Annie looked back up at the Spider Queen. She crawled a few feet closer to the crack in the wall. She stared down at them for a moment with her glowing eyes, then shot out another thick rope strand. "Watch out!" shouted Jack. He and Annie ducked. Thwack! The second web rope stuck to the ledge just a few feet away from them. "Oh no! Look!" shrieked Annie. She pointed up at the cave ceiling. The monster spider was zigzagging between the 2 strands of her web. She was heading straight towards them. Oh no. Jack and Annie screamed and pressed themselves against the wall. "We have to leave," cried Annie, but before they could make a move, another wave crashed into the cave. The water swirled with ferocious force around the chamber. "We can't leave," cried Jack. "We can't stay either," cried Annie. "Wait, wait, wait," whispered the Spider Queen. The giant spider kept zigzagging between the 2 lines, spinning more web. coming closer and closer and closer to Jack and Annie. They watched in horror, unable to speak or move. Just when she came close enough to touch them, the Spider Queen turned and scurried back up to the ceiling, leaving a giant web ladder behind her. Maybe the Spider Queen is good and is trying to help Jack and Annie. Let's read on and find out. The Spider Queen started to stare back down at Jack and Annie with her 8 red eyes. Climb, 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 she whispered from her spot on the ceiling. I think she wants to help us, said Jack. No, she wants to trap us, said Annie. The spider whispered again. Climb, climb, climb. Something about her voice made Jack feel certain the Spider Queen wanted to help. She doesn't want to hurt us, he said. She wants to help us escape. Besides, we don't have any other choice. The water was rising higher and higher over the ledge. It was swirling above their ankles now. We have to climb her web, said Jack. I'll go first. He reached up and grabbed one of the spider ropes. It felt damp and sticky. He pulled himself onto the bottom strands of the web ladder. Grab on, he shouted to Annie above the roar of the water. We have to get that crack in the ceiling. Annie grabbed one of the web ropes. Ew, she said. It's so gross. Just climb, said Jack. Holding tightly to the sticky strands, Jack and Annie began making their way up the Spider Queen's web ladder. The web swayed and stretched, but it was sturdy enough to hold their weight. Its stickiness kept them from slipping and falling. Crawling and climbing, they moved higher and higher above the crashing waters. As they drew near the crack in the ceiling, Jack kept his eyes on the Spider Queen. She was watching them carefully. Finally, Jack reached the ceiling crack. He swung to one side of the web ladder, putting himself between Annie and the giant spider. You go first, he said. This is a picture of the spider web ladder that they're climbing and a little peek of the Spider Queen herself. I don't really care for spider queens or any kind of spider. Okay, said Annie. So she grabbed the rocky edge of the opening and stuck her head out of the crack. There's nowhere to go but into the water, she called. How far down is it? Said Jack. Pretty far, said Annie, but I think we can make it. Wait, said Jack, but Annie was already squeezing herself through the crack. Annie, be careful, said Jack. Splash! Oh, man, said Jack, and he gripped the edge of the crack. Then he glanced back at the Spider Queen. Her glowing red eyes peered out in front of him. Go, 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 she whispered. Jack smiled at her. Thanks, said Jack. Go, the Spider Queen whispered again. Jack pulled himself out of the darkness onto a narrow, rocky ledge. The bright sun sparkled on the blue water of the small cove below. Come on, Annie shouted. She was bobbing up and down on the gentle waves. Jack took off his glasses. He pinched his nose and closed his eyes, and then he jumped off the ledge. Chapter 5. I'm going to wait until next week for Chapter 5, but what an exciting 2 chapters. I did not expect the Spider Queen to be a good helper, but it goes to show you, just like they were saying, some things can be scary when they're really not. Which leads me to my activity. I have a stress ball for you guys to make. See this little guy? It's actually a really super fun and easy activity. You'll need a balloon, flour to put inside, a Sharpie marker for the face if you want to draw a face, and yarn for the hair. I have all of the instructions for you guys to make one of these and all of the materials you'll need inside of a grab-and-go bag, along with a treat. So if you guys want to come in this week, pick up your to-go bag to make your stress ball, and you guys can squeeze that. Maybe they needed one of these whenever they were in the cave, or maybe for their whole trip. And I would love to see you guys. Also, if you guys want to leave me some comments and let me know what you're thinking about the story, I'd love to hear your input. Well, until next week, I'll see you later. Bye.